All right, I think we're good. Oh, there's somebody right there. Let's get them in. We'll just give her a chance to get on and we'll say hi and then we'll jump on in there. Oh, okay. We're all muted. So, all right, well, why don't we go ahead? So thank you so much for being here, Yairene. It's a pleasure to be able to chat with you. You have a story on God's healing in your life. So why don't we just jump into that and you can talk to us a little bit more about your same-sex attraction earlier in your life and that journey with God.
Sure. Thank you, Lindsay, for having me. And if we could start with a prayer and get on it. I'll be praying in Latin, but for those who don't know it, it's going to be the Our Father and Hail Mary, and glory be. In nomine Patris et Filii Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Pater noster qui es in celis, sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimitte nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimittivus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, se libera nos malo. Amen. Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostra. Amen. Gloria Patri et Filii Spiritus Sancto, sicut erat in principio et nunc et semper in saecula saeculorum. Amen. In nomine Patris et Filii Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Veni Spiritus Sancto. All right, where should I get started? How long do we have?
About an hour.
All right.
So for those that don't know you, maybe just tell us a little bit about your past struggles with your sexuality, and we'll start there.
All right. So yes, so as Lindsay said, my name is Yairene. I am a cradle Catholic since I was little baby. Grew up with the church. Grew up with the Nova Soto Church, and was very involved in music. I did a lot of singing in the choir, playing, youth group. I was very involved in the church. So around high school time, that's when the dating scene started, I guess. And well, there was this guy from church that basically, I guess sexually molested me. Not fully, but he forced me to do certain things that I didn't want to do. So that started a whole anger in me. Not just angry towards men, but just in general. I never started with the attraction for women then. It didn't even come after that, because I even dated another guy, but I do think that played a huge role in it. And so when I was in high school, after that experience, there was my friend there that I had that I was starting to think of her differently. And I'm like, well, this is weird. That's wrong. Like, why do I have an attraction? That's not normal. That's not what I was taught in the church. So the boyfriend that I had at the time, while he thought he was giving me good advice, basically said, well, go explore. Go explore what you want with women and whatever. So that's exactly what I did. I explored. I figured out that, well, that's what I like. That's what I want. So forget about dating men. Like, this is it. All the while, I knew deep down inside it was wrong, but I chose to, because it's a choice. I chose to ignore it, shut that off, because we can. I mean, when we sin, it's a choice whether we're going to go follow through with the attacks of the enemy or not. Whether in high school I realized that was coming from the enemy or not, or whatever it was. I didn't have the tools then to battle it, basically. So I gave in. I gave in to what the world said, to what the, enemy, the lies, everything. So, throughout college, I guess I was just always struggling with it, but my actions didn't show it. Like, people wouldn't have thought it. When I came out to my family, it was tough. The reactions, the judgment. And then on the other side, like, I chose certain people to tell because I knew that they would say it's okay. Oh, okay, let's go to Pride Month. Yeah, let's go to the, parade and, celebrate, So I wanted a justification for what I was doing. But what I realized from the beginning is that my prayer wasn't answered. I think that's why I kind of was like a, how do you say, like the black sheep of the family. Like, I didn't follow through with what God wanted for me and his laws. Like, I prayed for, oh, please take this away. As soon as I noticed the attraction to this girl, I'm like, oh, take it away. Like, what is that? Like, no. But I didn't get the answer right away. God didn't take it away from me. So I was rebellious. I was like, okay, well, you're not going to take it away. Then I'm just going to go in and explore, enjoy, and that's going to be my life. I'm going to be gay, and I'm going to be proud of it. Be part of the church. So I still played and sing. I wasn't going to give that. No way. I tried to make both okay. To combine the LGBT, the gay community, myself, my faith, and the church. And then I kept questioning throughout the years, and even playing and singing in these retreats and talking and doing testimonies. Okay, well, why can't I just be gay and Catholic? Like, what does that look like? But I didn't know I didn't think that I could be capable of following through with what the church recommended for that, which is basically abstinence, being single, not having sex ever in my life. I'm like, what? No. So I was dealing with that very hard and very rebellious. I used to be part of the Pride Month. Well, guys, I live here down south in Fort Lauderdale Pride Month, so I would go with friends, siblings. I had temptation sometimes to even think that I could possibly get married with someone, and I'm like, no. But then it would come back to, no. God's church, his laws and rules are a man and a woman. And even when certain friends would ask me about that, I would be like, well, no, marriage is between a man and a woman. So I was able to, have lucid thoughts and be smart about certain things, even though I was being a hypocrite and following, my own path. So that kept going on for 15 years. I tried to like men. I tried to, have relations with them, even if it was sexually and, not healthy, but just to see if I could be with one and get rid of these feelings that I had for women. And that's basically for 15 years. I'm 36 now. So the moment that I actually was able to fully, where my feelings and thoughts actually completely aligned to Jesus and his church, because that was the problem. It didn't. So I kept doing my own thing, my own will, not his. The moment that it was like a click, like a moment, it was when I, for the first time, went to the traditional Latin Mass, when I completely saw Jesus fully in the Eucharist, so reverent. I felt home. I felt like home. And that's when everything started. I finally received good advice from priest, like in the confessional, telling me what to do, what not to do. When before unfortunately, I had a very bad experience in a confessional where I'm confessing my sexual sins, because sometimes I would. You see how, like, it would be crazy. I would sometimes feel like, oh no, I can't receive communion. I did this weekend with and I'm not worthy, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to receive him. But then other times I would commit this, I guess it's sacrilege of thinking that I could receive him, being in that sexual sin and lifestyle. So, it's such a struggle. But one priest, instead of saying, right, your sexual sin is a sin, and giving me penance, the prayer for, the prayer that they do, and they give you abstinence. The penance and that, he didn't. And he said, basically giving me a study that says that what I was doing was okay. So here I am going to a Catholic priest, right? And I'm realizing that whether the sexual sin was pornography, masturbation with a woman, whatever it was. And here I am hearing from a Catholic priest that it's okay, that it's justified, that there's medical, studies that say that that's okay. No. I walked out of there with my heart broken, that a priest could actually tell me that. And so I was really sad, very sad that this is happening. With the churches that I grew up with and everywhere. And then it didn't feel right, because I finally was going through that transition of breaking through from it. And here I am, and there's no priest to help me with it. So when I experienced this, the traditional Catholic Church, how the mindset works, how the priests think, how beautiful they look in their cassock, like, yeah, you could tell that's a priest. The advice they were giving me in the confessional, yes, stay away from that person, stay away from that friend, don't do this and do this, and for your penance, please do the chaplet of the precious blood. I'm like, okay, I will. It was one thing after another, week after week, and finally that's when I was able to break through from it. Of course, with the prayers of my family, but especially from my parents and my mother. My mother was like Saint Monica, who prayed for Saint Augustine and her husband. She did all those things for me. When my father was alive, they both did it, but then he died in 2014. They would pray rosaries every day. My mother, they would go to we would have 24-hour, what is that called? Eucharistic, where you could go and, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, perpetual
adoration.
Yeah.
Thank you. And they would pray a lot. She would do that precious blood devotion. A lot of things that she did, but the one thing she never did was give up. When her other friends were giving up on their children who were gay and already married civilly and whatever, she's like, no, not my child, never. And God hears the prayers, and eventually He heard mine from when I was 17 to help me get rid of it. So I'm now at a point where it's not even a second thought to ever go down that route. I said no. I did the St. Louis de Montfort consecration form to Jesus, through Mary, which that's so powerful. I'm consecrated. God's got me and not the enemy anymore. And I just, battling every day against any temptations, because the one thing that I know for sure that is that he's the enemy's going to want to bring me down and try to make me fall again. So now I'm vigilant and doing everything that I can to stay holy, hopefully, and become a saint if I can. And that's all I want. I just want to help other people, because if I could do it, someone who was so deep down in it, where some people thought, oh, there's no hope for her, she's going, that's it. There's always hope. I mean, you can never lose that. The moment that everyone around you thinks, oh, well, what's the point of praying for her? She's so, there's no point. That's wrong, and that's not part of a Christian mindset. But yeah, that's basically my life story with homosexuality and fighting through with it, and through, being there in the traditional Latin Mass and community, learning Latin, praying, but just falling in love with our Roman Catholic faith, things that I never knew before. Through there, I was, praying like what God wanted for me. So, okay, so now that I've realized what a woman really is and how we're supposed to be, basically there's three things. Either you're a nun, you're married, or you're single, consecrated virgin. So I'm like, oh, okay. So marriage, is it possible for me? Okay, well, God, if you're really going to want me to be with a man, that man's got to be, and I said the things that I wanted or needed. Am I going to be a nun? Okay, let's figure that out. Sure, why not? But you really got to tell me, be very clear about that. When I went to Holy Land last October, I had that intention. But prior to that, this man introduced himself to me, and he was clearly interested in me, and I was very kind of still in the prayerful mode, like, hey, God, what do you mean? Why am I just said that I could be a nun for you if you wanted, but then you're going to show me this guy. And, well, 8 months later, we've been courting. He's been courting me how it should have always been. And God willing, we will get married. And that's where I'm at. And yeah, thanks for letting me speak about all of that. Back to you, Lindsay.
Oh, well, thank you so much for sharing that. That is just 15 years. That is an incredible story of God working throughout your life, for quite a while, and your parents' perseverance and your mom's good stubbornness in a way to just never lose hope. So
yes.
all of that was
Mm-hmm.
very beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you so much. I have questions.
Yeah, go for it. I'm an open book.
If at any point anybody wants to jump in, just do the hand thing. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that was like for you being in the church for those 15 years and sort of going back and forth with that whole why can't I be Catholic and gay at the same time? Can you tell us a little bit more about that and what people told you as you were trying to work your way through that, and just your internal struggle with it?
Right. So first it was my family who found out. Then there were some people in the church, including my friends and my friend's mother. But right. So when I was a part of the youth group and the leader, or they were going to make me a leader of the music group, they said no. No, we can't have you be a youth leader because you are actively involved with a woman. And I said, oh, well, okay. Yeah, at the time I right. I was angry. I didn't understand it. Like, why are they saying no? Isn't it just enough that I want to give time to God? But later on, I realized that I needed to have that no. So so then I just stuck with just music. Just they allowed me to still just play and sing because I wasn't being a leader. I wasn't on paper like Yairene Rivera, music leader. And then when people find out, oh, but she's gay, so I could no longer. So things were taken away from me. And instead of leaving the church, I just kept, I wasn't going to do that because it was my relationship with God. Like going to mass and doing that is how I worship God. Like, how could I not, I wasn't, and I understand that there are other bisexual or gay people who say, oh, well, bye, because they don't accept me. Well, no, they don't accept the sin, but we don't, when we're in it and people tell us that, which I was told, yeah, but it's we accept you, but it's just your sin. It's not acceptable, your sin. And like, we would justify in so many ways. I would say, yeah, well, you're a sinner too, right? Are you having premarital sex with your partner? Are you gossiping, lying, and doing all these things? Are you letting are you sinning too? But you're allowed to be a minister of youth group. So many things that I would think and say. And people refer to me to like Courage. I don't know if you know about that group. It's like a Courage International and here in the United States group for gay Catholics who want a support system and try to live like a chaste, abstinent life. And videos, and they would send me videos, but it would go in one ear and out the other. Like, okay, there's a point where you click off the consequences of your actions and sin. So I thought, oh, well, what I'm doing is really not. And then in comparison to other sins, it's in the same realm of sexuality. And you think other people aren't doing something? Forget it. So I would justify it and be like, it's not that bad. I'm still going to go to heaven. God can't, just because you eventually think it's not the devil doing that, bringing you to hell. Oh, well, God will not allow me to go to hell for those sins. No. So you keep doing it. And that's for years, the state of the church. Some people would be very lenient and be like, oh yeah, I love you, do you, be happy. And then Catholics, and then others, oh yeah, you're going to go to hell. And then so the extreme. So that's why I kind of wanted a medium, like, okay, well, can I get somewhere in between there? Like, can I be Catholic and gay and like both? So that was the struggle, that I didn't want to follow what the church recommended and said to do. And I wanted to do my own thing. And the battle of that lasted, like 15 years. So, but does that answer kind of like the life of the church and what happened there specifically with, did I answer your question?
Yeah, no, that does answer it. I found it really interesting too. I think we all have those things we try to justify, but your eternal or internal dialogue about how like everyone else is sinning, and some people do things that are worse or within the same realm. I think that's a very common thing that we hear in response to this issue. So if you're trying to talk with someone and they give you that argument back, like, do you have any thoughts on how we should respond?
Give me an example, like what is it that, and then I'll respond.
Yeah, so let's say I was talking to you and I'm your youth group leader. I'm just like, because you are actively in a relationship with a woman and we don't support that, we can't have you be a youth group leader. And then you come back to me with the argument, like, but other people are doing, they're living with their partners or sleeping with them or engaging in other things, within the realm of sexual sin. So what would be, like, how would you suggest we respond if someone points out hypocrisy?
Right, as the youth group leader, like talking to the gay person. Okay, so that youth group leader, right? Is that you? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Or just in general, like if I'm talking to a family member,
someone in the church. Yeah. Right. As soon as you find out that your loved one has these feelings and wants to explore, the very first thing that you guys should tell them is, I love you and God loves you still. All right, we know that, but you have to give a positive, and you have to give affirmation of that. Like, okay, you're my child, or you're my friend. I love you, and I will help you through this. And then they're like, what do you mean help me through this? Well, then you, depending on your relationship with that person, if you can be totally frank, like how I've been with you guys, or not, if you have to be like, well, tell me how you feel about that. If they're Catholic or Christian and been raised in that, so they know better, right? So you're talking to someone who's not who's not ignorant. You're talking to someone who knows. Then you gotta be very loving in your tone of voice, charitable in what you say, very non-judgmental, because it's like, as soon as they hear something that is, you're gonna go to hell, so stop it, it's not gonna do anything. If the enemy is trying to get them in, you have to be like, let me try to get them out and up to heaven instead. And so how do you do that? Okay, well, you could give examples of Jesus's teachings, how he talked to Mary Magdalene, go and sin no more, right? So we have to define first if they accept that it's a sin. If they don't accept it, then you got to try to help them to realize that it's a sin by comparing that sin to what? Okay, what is the homosexual act and sin similar to? A man and a woman having premarital sex. It's the same. It is distorted. It's totally not within the natural realm between what God wants. So it's distorted, but it's almost the same act. It's a sexual sin. So if they don't accept it as a sin, then that's how you help them to help them accept that it is, that they're not following God's will for them, that you're basically wanting to do your will, and in a very sweet, non-judgmental tone. As soon as we want to, because we love God and his church so much, and I fall into this sin, well, righteous anger. But we go beyond that into this, oh, well, I'm going to drill it in you and yell at you because you're offending me and my church and Jesus and my God. So I'm going to tell you this. But they're already so sensitive, and something may have happened, like a trauma that you don't know. So try to be open to what happened that they got here. Tell me more about it. Maybe don't even respond, just tell me how you feel. And then work throughout days, weeks. But the only thing that you can do is to hear them out, pray, and be very, very careful with your choice of words, because that could either make or break your relationship with that person, unfortunately. Yeah, that's kind of what I would suggest.
All right, thank you. So yeah, to summarize that, then I guess you would suggest, if you're talking with really anybody you have some sort of relationship with who's come to you with the struggle, just to try to listen and just
Mm-hmm.
be as charitable as you can, and just trying
Yeah.
to hear what they have to say and then help them to figure out, like ask questions to help them figure out, I guess, what's contributing to it, and then how you can help them going forward, but not in a
Right.
way that, not in a way that says the sin's okay, but that,
Oh no, yeah, you can never say. I don't think you should ever say, "Yeah, that's okay." You know,
Yeah.
it's okay. I love you. You're my son. It's okay. Because if you say it's okay, you have. I know it's very tough. You got to say it's not okay, but in the sense that you still love them and it's not going to change. So it's very difficult. Like, I would say something like, "Well, I'm going to tell you what I struggle." Like, let's say you, Lindsay, okay. You would tell someone, you know what, then I'm struggling with, for example, the sexual sin of masturbation, and I'm with my husband. Oh, but I know that that's a sin. I know that's wrong, but I'm trying to, so maybe you can give an example of your sin, whatever it may be, and give an example of how you're trying to live the holy life and try to not commit that sin again. And maybe by you opening up, they will open up. They will be okay hearing you out. And then ultimately you say, this is what the church recommends for you. Resources, like say, basically it's a life of abstinence and chastity. But that doesn't mean that you cannot find love again. Meaning not with the same-sex person, but with the opposite sex, if that's what God wants for you. If that's not what God wants for you, then you could totally be in the church and have these feelings, but not act on it. We can help you with that. And if if you're called to be a nun or a priest, before you go to the priesthood, you definitely got to get that. You got to get that in control. Well, because especially with the priesthood and after the 1960s, there's a lot, let's just say they didn't help them, a lot of them, through that, and that's just another topic. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I'm sorry to hear that the priests that you saw early in your journey weren't helpful. So I was sorry to hear that. Is there anything that like they could have done, or that the church as a whole could have done, that maybe would have helped you earlier on?
I think they tried. But they tried. But hearing that no, it wasn't followed up with like, but, it was like, it wasn't a no, but here is what we can do. It was a no, and then there's no solution. Like, at least like, show me an example of a testimony video like I'm doing to you right now. Show me someone who's my age that has gone through it and there's hope. Someone who's gone through it, like, can I talk to that person? Where's the help? Where's the resources? Like, hey, this is what the catechism says. Hey, this is what help me through it. But don't just say, no, you can't be a youth group leader. You can't be a leader because, you're in a same-sex relationship and, the church doesn't blah, 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 and then not help the person. I know they tried their best. Plus this is like what? Yeah, 15. So it wasn't as much. Okay, it is a lot now. A lot more kids, unfortunately, are coming out and thinking that that's okay and et cetera. And well, the state of the world right now and the society. But back then, like early 2000s, we didn't want to come out because of the reactions of people, the reactions of the church. So yeah, that's. So they tried. I'm not gonna say no. Um, but maybe just follow through with the no. Follow through with that person and guide them little by little. And never stop praying for them. Like, honestly, it's just prayers. Even if you don't say one word in the whole 10 years of your friendship or whatever, and you're just with them and you're just hanging out, and you know, at least just pray for them always, for their conversion, because it's never too late. Definitely never too late.
Yeah.
I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you've been in it and you're 60 something, you live with your partner, you're married and you have kids. Well, it's never too late. To be like St. Paul.
St. Augustine.
Mm-hmm.
What was interesting, I think, in what you just said was, so you had mentioned that some people tried to talk to you about the Courage program, but that was something that you weren't interested in at the time. But if they had kind of followed through with you on a more personal level, would that have been more beneficial instead of go to this program if they had said meet this person instead?
Yes, in person. Yes, in person. If I met someone who's gone through it in person, not online and let me talk to someone, that probably would have helped. But at the same time, the enemy's attacks were so strong and too much that no matter what anybody would say, it was in one ear and out the other. It was like, I don't care. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to do my thing. So you see, everyone goes through their own journey. So you may have planted a seed, and that's probably what you're going to do by talking to them. And whatever it is that you say, either one time or 100 times, but you have done your part. It can affect the journey of that person, and it cannot. So something that really, really impacted me before I just moved to Chicago with my ex girlfriend at the time, that's just a mess of a story. Before, this best friend I pray for all the time, she sat me down, explained, just like I told you, she explained to me her sin, her struggle. And we've been friends for years, and she's known my struggle, and she said so many things, but the one thing that really stuck out to me, she said, "But Jai, do you think that there could be a Catholic saint, gay Catholic saint, a gay saint?" And I said, "Wait a minute, what did you just ask if there could be a gay saint in the Catholic Church?" And then so she did this psychological thing where she wanted me to answer the question that she wanted to get out of me. So I said, no, there can be a gay saint. No, because that person has to gone through, their sin and stop doing that, and then just be chaste and abstinent and not sin. And so there could be one, but they're not going to be called gay because they're not actively gay. But there could be a saint who. So I answered everything that she wanted to get out of me. So when all of that came out of me, I said, whoa, okay, I see what you did there. I see what you. So she was trying to prevent me from moving with this woman, having this lifestyle, by asking that, by getting me to realize that myself, which is wow. That I remember throughout the times when I was living over there in struggles, and even my other friend who said, you know what, can you just promise me that if it does get bad, that you have a home, that you can go back to South Florida, that you will realize that, even though I tried to be abstinent and chaste with this woman, that's just BS. You do not live together with someone who you're, attracted to or whatever, and think that you could play, what is that, like a warrior against the attacks of the enemy. It's I'm giving it to him so easily. But no, that was what kind of held me throughout that time to get out of it and come back. That seed, she planted that seed by telling me that. And I didn't realize that at the time, but I realized it later, you know. So,
Yeah, that's a really, really beautiful question that your friend posed to you, and quite smart. So we had a conversation with Dr. Jennifer Roback Morris from the Ruth Institute last week. And that's a lot of her suggestions when we asked questions about, like, how do I talk to this person? And one of the things she said is that you have to ask them questions that get them thinking on a personal level. And that question it got me thinking on a personal level about, can you reach your lifelong goal doing what you're doing? Yeah, but Dr. Morse was saying that, like, you have to try and hit people with these kinds of questions, because you can't, like, one, you don't want to win the argument, you want to win the person, but two, there's this really strong defensiveness that some people within the LGBTQ community have, and you can't dialogue with them unless you are asking questions and making them feel heard. So, like, do you find there is a high level of defensiveness of people within that community? And if so, what do you think the reasons are for people just not wanting to talk about it?
The high defensiveness, that's, I mean, okay, I will tell you why. So I have certain friends, and I'm not going to name, but so they grew up with me, like in the Nova Soto Catholic Church, in the youth group, in this and this and that. But then let's just say that one of them is married to a woman and has kids and whatever. So, but the difference was between me and my friend. I internally still had that, I guess you would say, the light bulb, which is a mix of God talking through me, the Holy Ghost, and my guardian angel. I still had that light bulb poking at me all the time. Like, so the enemy was always infiltrating my head to try to justify it, attack it, and like leave it. But I internally never really did. For sometimes, yes, of course. That's why I just decided to do certain things and fall for it. But no, I would always come back to it. Why? Because I always stayed active in the church. If I didn't stay active in the church, there would be no help for me. She did not stay active after high school. Like, goodbye church, goodbye everybody who is discriminating towards us and telling us this and this and that. So that light bulb, because it's a switch off, okay, completely. I never did. I had it halfway. They're so defensive because they don't want to hear it, because they don't think that will ever be them. Oh, I'm not gonna. I don't need the faith. I don't need to be I don't need to do any of those things. So they've already shut down God, like, off. They could. Some of them could be like prayerful and they believe in God, and sure, but it's a matter of being a practicing Catholic, practicing your faith, if you really are or you're really not. And like I said, that whole saying, you do you, that is so harmful in this society. Whatever makes you happy, you do you. Like, live your life, pride, whatever, all of that. No, there's nothing to be proud about. Why should I be proud about me having 15 years of my life struggled and given in almost completely? Thank God for, like, his grace and mercy and everything still holding me in. But they're so defensive because they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. It's not going to affect their life. They have already succumbed. I'm sorry to say, some of them, to the devil and his tactics. They've succumbed, and there's just, they don't think there's no way out. Their family rejected them. A lot of them have left their home because their parents didn't accept it. I left home during, like, my nursing years in college, but because I wanted to be closer to my college, but I really was having a hard time with my father, my parents, and everybody here. Like, I just wanted like to live my life, do my own thing, you know. So yeah, that they've accepted that that is the normal, and it's not normal. They've accepted that it's okay because the society and world has told them that it's okay. So when we, the small, because really we are such a small population, the whole world that still believe in like high morals and whatever, they just they don't need to listen to that. That's why they're so defensive, and there's no getting through, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's, if on some level you know what you're doing is wrong and how you're living is wrong, I think that creates this conflict too, where it's hard to hear the truth. But also too,
Yes.
like that, if you believe there's no way out, because this is the world's telling me this is how I was born, and I should just go with it.
Right.
And
Born this way. Mm-hmm,
yeah,
mm-hmm,
so that, I mean, that
mm-hmm.
sounds like a very, very tough way to live that's full of a lot of despair. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder too, so I was sorry to hear about your experience with your boyfriend as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so sorry that happened to you. Do you find though, like I have heard that it's quite common within that community for people to have had like some sort of sexual trauma earlier in their life? Like, is
Mm-hmm.
that, find that that's true, or?
Yes. And some of them just don't. That's why they say they're born this way, because they really think like since they were little, like the whole female and male roles, the girl didn't want to wear dresses and do that, and she just wanted to be like a boy, or the boy was very feminine in certain things, and like so they just already categorize them as, oh, they're gay, or they're going to be gay when they grow up. So there are it's hard to get the percentage, but yes, there are some who have had a trauma that triggers. There are some who not even had that sexual trauma, but because of the men in their lives who are not real men, traditional men, and knew how to treat women after those relationships. Like maybe 2 or 3 of my experiences with women where they were fully straight, fully like, and then they decided to be with me because, oh, I didn't like that guy. But eventually so there's that, and then they think they're born that way because from little whatever, they think it's biological, and that's how they justify it. But there has been no proof, and science has not ever said that is that there's like a gene for gayness or anything like that. And third, it's acquired. It's acquired through your experience, through time. But the most that I've seen, it's completely demonic. It's completely attacks from the enemy. He knows exactly what to put in your head. It's thoughts that would never come to you, that you start thinking about things differently, start feeling differently, and it's very demonic. It's very demonic. The enemy does not like the traditional family, like men, women, marriage, and kids. So he's going to try to do everything to attack it. And of course, he hates our Mother Mary, and so he's going to try to do everything to destroy basically humanity. And that's one of the ways. Let's get all these men and women to have same-sex attractions, to be married, and now with the transgenderism, to switch roles, to think that you can play God and become a woman and a man. It's beyond me. It's completely demonic in the attacks, and we have to distinguish what it is and fight against it. But yeah, it's very.
Thank you. Veronica's got a question, so I'll just we'll get Veronica up here.
Yeah.
Hi, sorry, I'm not going to be on video today, but I did have a question. Do you know anyone else that kind of had a similar journey to you, where they were in that lifestyle and then came out of it, or are you kind of the first of people that you know?
Yes, so there was one person, yes. She's younger. She was, I saw her more as like a little sister. She had explored in her high school years when I was in the church, but she recently, I saw in the last year that she was engaged with this guy. Because she went to Ave Maria University. So, but the difference between her and me was, yeah, she was more of the, let's say she never gave in fully. She fought harder against it. But she went to Ave Maria University, became like this, she studied theology. So when you're studying it and you're in it, it's, I think it does a more transformation. And so we've talked, and she's happily married, and I'm not the only one. We're not the only ones. This is possible. Yeah.
No, I just meant like if you personally knew someone else that kind of went through the same thing. I know you're not the only one.
No, I know. But no, for me, I'm happy to hear that there's other people who have gotten out of it, especially like a friend of mine from before in the past. So yeah, it was very encouraging actually when I saw that.
Also, do you have any tips on how to like navigate this topic with teenagers? Because I have nieces that went to public school and they become very defensive of, you know, like the pronouns and all of that. I'm so sorry. Like just when talking about, and they're, you know, it's hard because they don't live in the faith as strongly as like me and my other brother do, but this brother didn't raise his kids in the faith as strongly. And so I feel like that's not like a point where I could really make a difference in their like mindset. But do you have any like tips, talking points, things that can maybe like light a light bulb in their head?
That's tough. So these high school nieces or nephews were not raised in the faith. So you want to know how to talk to them. If they're defensive, like Lindsay and I were talking about, and you still want to try to say something, you can, well, if you want to talk to them, that's fine. But I would just, text them a resource, show them a video, show them a testimony video like mine. Like I have my YouTube video of how I struggle with this. Just tell them that you'll always be there for them, but that you love them and you want to save their soul. Like you want to help them gain heaven. You want to see them there in heaven. And there's not 10 or 20 ways to get up there. It's a narrow gate. It's not a wide one to heaven. And so, but I would teach them about the faith first, not really talk so much about the gay stuff, because it's more important for them to know Jesus first. Like know the faith and know Jesus. Forget that will come later. So I highly suggest you first, try to do some talking with your brother and those kids about that, and teach them about the Eucharist, teach them about all these wonderful things that our faith has. When they finally are open then to it, then they could talk to you. High school years, we were always very, like all high schoolers, like we think we know everything. So once you hit like college, then maybe there you could do some impact. But yes, for sure, my advice is continually pray for them. And I suggest the Precious Blood devotion. Like if you want to do that every week, great, or every day if you can. But there's something about that chaplet of the Precious Blood. It's I've seen my prayers be answered even like just immediately from that, and just continue praying the rosary every day for them. Yeah.
That was good advice. Thank you for that.
No problem.
All right.
And for you and for anybody, like if you, because this is only just an hour, I am offering my email, my cell phone. I don't care if anybody wants to contact me, and just anything that you are struggling with this for your family members or for anybody. I'm here to help. This is my mission from God, literally, physically. Like, I know that this is what He sent me here for on earth. So I'm offering, you know, my I don't know, friendships, my, you know, anything, my prayers, like anything you guys need. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think you're a member of the community, so I'll let people know that you're there.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
send you a private message. So thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
We are coming towards the end of our hour. Maybe if I can just sneak in 2 more questions.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious. So we've spoke a little bit about what we can do for people when they are having the struggle or in this lifestyle, and a lot of it is prayer, and just not giving up hope, just keeping the lines of communication open as in a non-judgmental way. Is there anything that you think could have been put in place for you or for anyone before that could have helped you even more when you had this struggle? Something else that could have been an anchor that maybe would have helped you not go down the path you did.
I think okay, you know how like Alcoholics Anonymous, they have a what do you call that? A mentor, I'm gonna call sponsor. Eso. Sponsor. Okay, can I have a ex-gay sponsor? Can I have a Catholic gay? Like, can I have someone who will be there for me whenever I can, like, whenever I'm struggling with committing something, okay, a sin? Can I talk to that? Like, it has to be a program like that. Like, I understand the courage and that's great, but it's not as big, it's not as personal, and it's not someone that you can physically meet and see with. I wish that back then there would be like, you know how you have a young adults group, life teen group, or this group or that group. Well, can we have like within every single church, not just like in general, but can every diocese, or can the traditional Latin Mass and everybody, can everybody just have someone to help me through this that has gone through it? Because I'm sorry, I know, like, you know, people who don't go through it and you're trying to talk to someone who is it's not as much or powerful as someone like us who have already lived it, the struggle, gotten out of it, and they're there for advice, and they're there for, like, you know, I wish that I was raised in the traditional Catholic Church. That made a huge impact, because, like I said, the ideals and it was too modern of a church. They're already changing a lot of things. I don't know if you know about the synodalities that's happening, and the German bishops and people who are already trying to say that it's okay to have same-sex marriages, or like to say they're trying to change the church. Well, I'm like, no, it is not okay. And we need to fight against that, even within our own ranking of the church, and the highest to the highest. So I hope, and I hope there could be that kind of mentorship program. That's what I would say. Mentorship program, a prayer group specifically for that, you know, somewhere where you can feel comfortable sharing this. I think that's, yeah.
No, that's good. That really hammers in the importance of having people to walk with in our own individual struggles and journeys. Yeah. when it comes to like raising
Mhm.
our children with a healthy sexuality, so you mentioned like getting them steeped into the Latin Mass if we can, or at the very least, just to be teaching them the
Yeah.
deep, rich truths of the church.
Mhm.
Do
Mhm.
you have any other tips for like, and then obviously like rooting them as much in the faith and developing that relationship with Jesus before kind of jumping into some of this other stuff? But when it
Mhm.
comes to having to talk to children about sexuality, especially too during this month when they're going to see a lot of things at very young age,
Mhm.
like what are your tips for
Mhm.
trying to have those conversations for younger kids?
Yes. So if we're talking about younger, like less than 10 years old, well, you know how to talk to your kid depending on how old they are, what they see around the school, and if they're in the public school system and they see that all the time, and if you're allowing secular television, almost every single commercial is about that. So when they see something like that and they ask you, you have to be upfront with it from an early age. You have to say, well, that's two men together, which is not okay in the eyes of God. The sexual sin and sex is made for a man and a woman in the sacrament of marriage and holy marriage. Anything before that is just not the natural way that God wants things to do. So we just need to pray for those people. When you at school, if someone tells you that, or they bully you, or they tell you that you're judgmental and, oh, look at you, and not accepting, and, oh, but you got to call me by not the pronouns or whatever, how they you don't have to accept that. And if you want to, you don't have to talk to them or be in conflict. You could just ignore them and come talk to us. But really, you have to teach what the Catholic Church says from an early age, and say that tell them that they can come to the parents for refuge, for help, because it's everywhere. But we should never tell them that it's okay to do that. They're struggling with that. And they may have a family member who's open and gay, and they're like, oh, why does that aunt do this? And why are they with that person? And why is this uncle? And, so then you could be specific and say, well, we love them, but we don't agree with their lifestyle. And so we just have to pray for them. Kids are very, like, you can't just sugarcoat things. I mean, you just got to be straight with them, because they will understand. After 7 years old, you're in the age of reason. You can get your Holy Communion. Like, I mean, if you're able to understand that Jesus isn't a piece of bread, you can understand a lot. So after 7 years old, just say it. Don't shelter them. Like, don't shelter them, meaning like don't ever, like, they're going to come across it at some point. Don't shelter them so much that then all of a sudden when they're 15, boom, it's like a whoa, why didn't my parents ever tell me what's happening? Like, what is you tell them little by little and help them understand that what's happening in the world and society and what's happening in the world is not necessarily something that we as Catholics and the chosen people of God are going to follow. And that's, yeah.
All right, so I guess this will be the last question then, unless anyone has anything else they want to throw in there. But on that note, just watching how the world has just moved more and more into this agenda and the wokeness, especially, like, I mean, you must have noticed a difference in your 15-year journey with this. How do we as Christians and as parents fight this woke agenda? How can we oppose it and not go along with it?
Mm-hmm. So most of us work in the workforce, right? There's many times where they're going to ask you to, okay, for example, I had a friend who who works at school board. They asked her to wear a shirt that says something, and everybody, we're going to celebrate this month. So everybody's got to wear a colorful shirt and blah, blah, blah. Well, she talked to me about it, and I said, no, if you're asking my advice, like, no, I wouldn't do that. And I would tell them no. Okay. They need to know that we're not going to follow your agenda, and you're not going to affect or infect the minds of our children. You're absolutely not going to do that. And that's the way that you can fight. You could say no. If you're chosen to do a meeting and say something about it, or supposedly be okay with it, like, well, then you got to fight against it and say, no, I'm not okay with it. So I'm not going to attend this meeting, because you know, effectively that would mean I am kind of giving my back towards God and my faith, and I will not do that. Whenever anybody asks for your support about something, or, you know, this company supports that, just like so many companies support abortion or whatever, well, we're going to say, no, I'm not going to support that company. We can choose how to react to that. And we, as a Christian society and people, we all need to be on the same page with this, and we need to fight against this woke agenda directly. Not be afraid. Oh, okay, so your job is going to be at risk because you don't want to support this guy who's gay and wants you to do, you know, whatever it may be. Like, no, you do have to stand up, regardless of the consequences of that. Because you, in the end, I mean, what you want is heaven and bring other people there. So temporal things and worldly things, we should not even want it. We should hate it, actually. We should hate the world and this worldly things. And we should want and love heaven and everything about it and try to get there. So don't assign your kids up for anything that's part of that. Any groups outside of, you have to be very vigilant. Definitely if you could raise them, like, you know, I mean, it's hard to do that, but at home, homeschooling is the best, because only you are the one who knows it's going to get into your child's, you know, brain and heart. If not, then the next step would be Catholic school. If you don't have the money for that, then okay, fine, public school. But, you know, train them and teach them. And then, yeah, anything that we encounter in the workforce, or even just simply going to Publix and like not supporting this Pride Month and LGBT and the HRC, the Human Rights campaign, HRC. Nope, you just say no. You say no, and you put on your armor, like it says in Ephesians. Put on your armor, because we're soldiers for Christ. That's, yep.
I love that response. Those are some really great, like, practical things that you're giving us, you know. Those are very easy to know, like, okay, check, like, you know, we're being vigilant about who we support and what we expose our children to and stuff. Yep. Like, I guess just quickly, one thought I had listening to you is that I think to a lot of it, and I'll get your thoughts on this, I feel like to a lot of it is our family structures and how we can actually send a pretty strong message to our children about what healthy sexuality looks like, just by being in a healthy vocation and, you know, making those distinctions in home about how the roles between husband and wife are equal but different, and there is a difference between men and women. And I think sometimes a lot of that erosion of, so, you know, of there being so few practical differences between men and women nowadays, I think that would you agree that maybe is contributing to a lot of the confusion that people are having? It's just like
100%, right? The roles of men and women, right, for sure, that does affect it, I think. So yes, exactly. Us women kind of being more in tune to what our role is as the wife and what the Bible says, and you know, being more, well, we know as women, but men, they definitely need to take on the protector role, as fathers, as brothers, as friends. They need to protect the women around them, They need to be like God to us. There's a structure in the marriage. It's the man is the head of the household because he, will sort of represent the faith in God to the wife and the children. And we, as the wife, we got to be submissive, which does not mean like, oh my gosh, what the world tries to think of it. No, it's definitely not like how they paint it in a very bad negative form. Obedience from both parts, but like definitely to tune into those roles as what a woman should be, how she should carry herself, being modesty. Oh, that's something that attracted me to the traditional Latin Mass. I'm sorry, but like in the other churches, like women would dress however, and that's not, no, veiled dresses, like, it's beautiful. So we have to be modest, both for men and women, but definitely the gender roles have been totally mixed up, and we need to get back to that. We need to get back to what it truly means to be a woman and what it truly means to be a man, and show that example to the world so they could see that is a true traditional strong guy. That's a woman, and how she's a strong mother, and like anything, we need to be really in tune to our roles, and not give in to what this world is telling us that we should do or how we should be.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Yairene. It was lovely speaking with you. Really appreciate your openness and honesty with us. So
thank you.
We'll
thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. We'll let people know you're available for any follow-up conversations or questions.
Yes, anytime, anybody.
Yeah. So anything you'd like to add before we close up, or?
Just thank you, Lindsay, and everybody here for listening, for inviting me, and for posting this. You're brave to do it. It's thank you for that, for not shying away from this topic. And I pray for this community and you guys, and that God continues to bless you and in your mission as well. And yeah, let's keep fighting the good fight till the end.
Amen. All right. Well, thank you so much. Yep. All right. You take care.
Thank you, you too. Bye.